Well guys, I'm finally debunking some Christian. Now this guy thinks he can prove atheism wrong with what he calls Christian intellect. Let's get started.
Hey YouTube. Okay, I don't know about you guys, but I'm sick of atheists diminishing Christian intellect. There's this notion that atheism and science rely on evidence, whereas religion relies on blind faith. Two things are wrong about that assertion. Number one, there's an incredible amount of evidence behind any major religion, particularly Christianity. Number two, science requires, and will require faith. Many advances made in science happened because some of the greatest minds in history employed faith to pursue those frontiers. Furthermore, science requires faith because assumptions are made all the time, and they're usually assumptions that scientists can't prove. For instance, we assume that we can generalize future laws based on past laws. But what would happen if we woke up tomorrow and gravity wasn't working, or the Earth suddenly reversed orbit? Science would be screwed if the laws of physics were suddenly different. And what if the laws of physics are different in different galaxies? If so, who's to say that they one day won't change in ours? The reality is that there's a lot that science doesn't know and can't answer, even beyond the argument of creation.
You read your holy book and take every word as fact, blindly believing a book that contradicts itself on multiple occasions. Show me your evidence. Burden of proof says, you have to prove your beliefs. It's not my job to disprove it. Science doesn't require faith. It requires a hypothesis and to be testable, observable, repeatable, whereas faith doesn't. And the laws of physics are a constant. Let me know when you float off into space.
For example, science can't tell you the difference between good and evil. Science can't tell us that rape is wrong. Sure, we accept that as a value judgment, but science can only tell us what's observable and testable. And even then, a degree of faith and assumption making is required. That's what pisses me off, because atheists basically claim that believing in the flying spaghetti monster is as ridiculous as believing in Jesus, because both require faith.
When someone is raped, it could cause trauma or other mental scarring, for lack of a better word. Science says that it can cause mental trauma. We know that. Does your holy book say trauma is good or bad? It's not an argument of morality, it's an argument of effect.
Take a look at some YouTubers.
People is asking me to prove to them that there's no God, which is an impossible thing to ask for somebody to do because it's impossible to disprove a negative.
No, I don't think I could prove to you that God doesn't exist, just like I couldn't prove to you there's a flying pink unicorn in this room right now.
I can't prove to you that there's no fairies. I can't prove to you that there's not a flying spaghetti monster.
It's like I couldn't prove there's a flying spaghetti monster out there.
The flying spaghetti monster.
You can't prove or disprove it. That is something you forgot to mention. I can't prove the flying spaghetti does or doesn't exist. When you prove he does exist, I'll believe you. Is it really that hard? Is this really that hard to understand?
Unlike the flying spaghetti monster, there's incredible historic evidence that backs Christianity. There are more available manuscripts of scripture than there are other historic and ancient texts that atheists have no problem believing. My point is that atheists are hypocritical and really dumb when they mock faith, because faith is needed in science as well. But those are just my thoughts, and I'd love to hear yours in the comments below. I usually cover
Faith is not needed. Can you prove we can't live without your mystical, magical, imaginary friend in the sky? You can't. It's really simple. So, what'd you guys think? Did you like my video? Do you want to call me a satanic atheist piece of shit? Let me know in the comments down below.